Happy Monday of week 2 of the Texas high school football playoffs. I'm sitting here waiting on my tires. I had to get new tires today. Apparently we have worn them out. Actually came in just to get one patched, and he's like, hey, you need new tires. I'm like, great. But what I thought it would do is it would be a good time to sit here and let's do a quick playoff overview update. We have been burning up the road. Yes, we're going to talk football, but Chris and I sat down on Saturday as we were walking out of the Lubbock Cooper gym for the regional volleyball tournament as the Lady Falcons punched their 5th consecutive trip to the state volleyball tournament. And I just kind of thought, holy smokes, in the last 8 days, Chris Welch and I had called 2 football games, and I had broadcast 5 volleyball games. And so now I know why I'm sitting here getting new tires. But been an exciting time, especially for us as Falcon fans. We were pretty partial to the black and gold there in Bushland. But I wanted to kind of give you a quick little after week 1 synopsis of the playoffs. We'll look ahead. We'll look back at it. Was just an incredible weekend in high school football. 3 of the highest scoring football games ever in UIL football history were played this past weekend. And so we'll jump in. We're going to run through 2A and 3A real fast, kind of get you updated on who is where and maybe who is out, and then maybe what we can look forward to. So let me jump straight into 2A Division 2. And this is, I think, one of the most competitive regional brackets that you'll have. Obviously, when we get to 3A Division 1, we kind of think that it's going to be Bushland and Brock if everybody takes care of business. But this is one of those brackets where there are a lot of teams that can win. Groover is a really, really talented team there up at the top. They put it on Shamrock the other night, 49-14. They actually upset Sunray earlier this season, state-ranked Sunray, who you'll see down at the bottom in a minute, that has one of the biggest matchups of this upcoming weekend. I believe that new home Sunray game, those are 2 of the best quarterbacks in the 806. Armando Lujan at Sunray, he gets a lot of pub. They put up big numbers. As you can see, they beat Wheeler 66-16 this past weekend. But do not sleep on Caleb Cook and the New Home Leopards. Caleb Cook last year was one of the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Players of the Week. And so great shootout there. You're not going to find a better quarterback matchup than you're going to see at Happy State Bank on Friday night between New Home and Sunray. And the winner of that game is going to line up. Let me get back to Groover and Rawls, and then we'll come back. I got a little ahead of myself because I'm excited about that New Home Sunray matchup. So Groover versus Rawls. Rawls got a good win against the Ropes Eagles, and so Ropes comes out of New Home's district. They took second, so that's a good win for Rawls, but they're going to face Groover. Groover upset Sunray. They had a massive second half rally against Sunray earlier this year, and so that Groover team looks poised. I think they'll see some Thanksgiving football there. Excited for them. Clarendon Seagraves. Clarendon is on a roll, y'all. As you can see, this 46-6 win over Boys Ranch. Clarendon actually won their district. Everybody was talking about Wellington coming out of that district. Nobody was really thinking and putting eyes on Clarendon. They kind of were that underdog. I think Wellington came in, if I remember right, into that matchup in the district games that they had played. They had won those games 188-0. So Wellington looked unstoppable, and Lyric Smith and Clarendon just flat came out and dominated that game. And so Clarendon versus Seagraves. Seagraves, a nice win over Sudan, but expect Groover and Clarendon to take care of business and both be playing some Thanksgiving football. On the bottom half of this bracket, one of the teams that I get excited about is Morton, because Morton has new coaches, This year, Coach Keith Malden, former Bushland Falcon coach, Keith Malden, brother to our current Coach Malden, he has taken over there in Morton, and he has them in the second round of the playoffs. He also has one of the guys that he brought on that staff to help implement the offense is Coach Jared Thomas. Jared Thomas getting his first playoff victory last weekend as a high school football coach. You know, he got a lot of them as a Bushland Falcon, as a quarterback under his dad, Coach Jimmy Thomas. But this past weekend, coaching his first playoff game there with Morton, and they got the 31-22 win over Lockney. They will face those Wellington Rockets, who still are on a roll. They had a little speed bump with Clarendon, but bounced back with a big win over Vega. And so the winner of that matchup will catch the winner of the New Home Sunray matchup. New Home went to the state semifinals last year, so looking to repeat and get back there, even take the next step so they can play at Cowboy Stadium this year. So Morton will have their hands full on Friday night with Wellington, but the winner of that Wellington-Morton game will get the winner of that tremendous quarterback showdown over there between New Home and Sunray. Now let's jump to 2A Division I. This Stratford is poised. They've got a sophomore quarterback out there who is he does everything well. Stratford is actually one of the smallest schools in 2A Division I, as we talked about in our snapshot overview the other day. Stratford will be moving down to Division II next year, but before they do, they want to leave Division I with the state championship, and they are poised to continue that march this weekend as they face off with Stanford. Then New Deal got the big win over the West Texas Comanches. That New Deal will face Cisco this weekend. And then on the bottom half of that bracket, you have Sonora, Olton, and Hawley Panhandle. And that score on the Panhandle game, that 93-54, that's not a mistype. When that game concluded, that was the second highest scoring football game in UIL playoff history, behind only a few years ago, Levelland and Decatur played to 155 total points. That was an 82-73 win back in 2016. Actually, Nick Gerber quarterback Levelland, and if that name sounds familiar, if you're a WT Buff fan, a West Texas A&M football fan, Nick Gerber is a Buff alum. He played quarterback at WT, but he has those Levelland Lobos had the highest scoring game ever in Texas high school football, and for a moment, Panhandle was second. 30 minutes later, the Hooks Edgewood game completed, and it was 93-57, which bumped Panhandle to number 2. And about the same time that Hooks game was wrapping up was a Friendship versus Eastwood game that finished 87-58. So those three games, Hooks Edgewood combined for 150 points. Panhandle, as you can see on the screen, combined for 147. And Friendship El Paso Eastwood combined for 145 points, all on Friday night. Just incredible scoring going on this past Friday. And as I said, 3 of the top 4 highest scoring games ever in Texas high school football playoff history were logged this last Friday, and one of those were Panhandle. And Panhandle's reward is a matchup with Hawley. Hawley is just a powerhouse looking to get back to Cowboy Stadium again. And so we'll see a really good football game there between Hawley and Panhandle. The winner of that will catch the winner of Olton, Sonora. Going to be a great, just good football all across 2A this weekend with some big-time matchups. The Hawley Bearcats, the defending state champions versus Panhandle. They actually faced off, if I remember right, they met at Lowry Field last year in the second round as well. They actually played the game before Bushland Jim Ned. Hawley winning that, going 16-0 and winning the state championship. 2A Division I, Region 1 looks like a matchup in the regional final of Stratford and Hawley, and that is going to be a game to watch. But so that gives you a quick little overview of what 2A is going to look like. Now let's get to 3A Division 2, where our friendly rivals down the road, the Canadian Wildcats, call home. This has been the Canadian Wildcats region. We say a lot, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Well, this is Canadians region here. And who all is looking to knock them off? You got Crane up there, who had a big win over San Angelo Leadership Academy. Lubbock Roosevelt got a hard-fought win over Friona. And just congratulations to Friona on an incredible season. It's all seasons are hard, but Friona had a coaching change mid-season and rallied together to not only finish their season strong, but make the playoffs there. And so congratulations to Friona on just an incredible season. Those young men battling through some adversity and making the playoffs. And then on the other side of that, Crane, Lubbock, but they fell to Lubbock Roosevelt. So you're going to have Crane, Lubbock Roosevelt this weekend in the area matchup. Other side, you have Wall and Childress. Wall with a big win over Tornillo. That game, at first, we didn't think it was going to be played. The initial conversation was Tornillo was going to have to forfeit. Tornillo made a long road trip with 16 players to play that game. And so you talk about some young men that just came out and battled. 16, there's just not a lot of depth with 16 there. But props to Tornillo for not deciding to play the game. And a quality Wall team's going to have a good matchup with Childress in that area round matchup. Flipping down to the bottom side, Early got a big win over Odessa Compass Academy. And what they win for that is a matchup with the Canadian Wildcats. The black and gold from up the road in Canadian, Luke Flowers, Cameron Cavalier, that team, man, it is rolling. They just look good. I mean, we saw them in week 2. We looked up at the scoreboard a couple minutes into the second quarter, and it was 35-0 Wildcats. Now, our Falcons battled back, made it a game, but I'll tell you, that Canadian Wildcat team, they're locked, and they're playing some great football right now. And so their area round matchup will be with Early, and then you'll have Idalou and Alpine down on the bottom side of that bracket. All these teams looking to play some Thanksgiving football. It's an exciting time. We're literally 2 weeks away from December football, which is always the goal. And, Coach, it was so special that, at being Bushland Falcons, we know Coach Mayfield retired, but Coach Mayfield always had a special December football shirt. And he didn't get to wear it as much as he may have wanted to, or we wanted him to wear it, but that's how unique this time of year is. As you begin to look at area and the winners that come out of this, and Thanksgiving football special, and the next week will be December football. It's an exciting time as a lot of teams, it begins to get whittled down at this point in the year. And so now let's turn our eyes to the home of the Bushland Falcons, our beloved Falcons, as you might say, as Chris and I get to call these Friday night games. But here's what's really cool about the Falcons call District 2 home of 3A Division 1, and we swept. So the way the by-district rounds work is District 1 plays District 2, District 3 plays District 4. Well, District 2, Dalhart, Bushland, Shallowater, Muleshoe, all 4 playoff teams advanced to the area round. So all 4 got a win in the first round. Dalhart over Denver City. Denver City was the 1 seed from District 1. So that's a big win for Dalhart, who just missed the last Friday night of the season, a heartbreaking loss that sent them from the 2 seed to the 4 seed. But they showed up, got the win over the number 1 seed. And so Dalhart advances to face Paradise, who got a big win over Vernon. I'll tell you, that Paradise defense is legit. They are fast. They fly to the ball. That's going to be a good matchup, Paradise and Dalhart. And I'm excited to watch it. But Kyler Reed and Hunter Trussler and that Wolves offense, to see how they can stack up to that Paradise defense, because that Paradise defense is special. On the other side, you have the Bushland Falcons, who rolled. They were up 21-0 within about 2 minutes and 42 seconds of game time in that matchup against Brownfield. and a lot of guys got a lot of reps, a lot of playoff experience was built on Friday night. On the other side, you had Jim Ned Whitesboro that came down to the finish line. Jim Ned led that game 34-28. Whitesboro was able to get a late fourth quarter score to win that 35-34. But like I said, it went down to the wire. Jim Ned battled, man. They had battled injuries. Their quarterback Beasley went down. I think it was in week 3. They had multiple running backs go down in this game, and they just kept fighting. But Whitesboro was a little too much for him there. So it'll be Bushland Whitesboro on Thursday night to see who plays the Paradise Dalhart winner. Both those games are in Vernon. Bushland Whitesboro on Thursday night, Dalhart Paradise on Friday night. And so the other side of the bracket is Clyde. Clyde got a good win over Peaster, and Shallow Water just flat. They found their stride here in week 1 of the playoffs, that bi-district championship, 52-0 over Slayton. That's going to be a really good second round matchup because there's a lot of talent on that Shallow Water team, and if they are finding their stride, this is the perfect time of year to do it. And then there on the bottom is Brock. Brock all over Iowa Park, 59-0. Muleshoe with a solid win there, 56-20 over Lamesa. You got the big play running backs of Muleshoe versus Brock, who has been the king of Region 1. They are actually, if you think back to our snapshot, Brock will be moving to 4A next year. So they want to leave 3A Division 1, much like Stratford wants to win their last state, the last opportunity. They want to win the state championship before they move down to 2A Division 2. Brock wants to win the last one that they play in. Brock made it to the state championship last year where they fell to Franklin, and so they are looking to get back and win the state title this year. But Bushland looking for some revenge. That they would love a lot. Both teams have a lot of work to do, but they're looking at that regional final matchup because Bushland would like nothing more than another opportunity. Bushland led big at halftime last year before Brock stormed back to win that third round matchup this year. This year it will happen in the fourth round if both teams can get there. But I can tell you the Falcons want that rematch, and so they may be taking it 1 week at a time, but there is extra emphasis on each week, knowing that if we take care of business this week, we're one step closer to where we want to be. And obviously where we want to be is Cowboy Stadium, but we cannot get there without rolling through Brock. And Brock looked good in the bi-district round. So did the Falcons. Paradise rolling. Shallow Water says, hey, we're going to have something to say here in this region. And so a great slate of games that are coming up this weekend. Chris is actually out of the country because we just haven't ever, I don't know the last time we played a Thursday night second round game. He has plans to fly back in on Thursday night. So he will miss that game. I will be coming from Garland where the Lady Falcons will play a 1 o'clock state semifinal game. And then we will book it to Vernon to be on the call Thursday night at 6. Austin, who runs some, actually is I do a podcast with him called Sideline Talk. And then he also helps produce the Coaches Show on Monday nights. He knows the equipment. He's been around sports a long time. Actually was a sports writer covering the Emerald Sod Poodles. And so he's got a lot of experience. He'll be on the call with me, but also helping on the production side because it's a lot. And with Chris gone, having another tech guy there is going to be a huge help. So we'll miss Chris, but know that he's probably having a great week in Belize, and he may not be missing me as much as I'm missing him as he enjoys that. So that's your 2A, 3A playoff preview for this week and kind of overview. We'll be back next week with another one as we turn our eyes towards some Thanksgiving football. Y'all have an amazing week. We'll talk to you on Thursday with the call. And as always, for me, go Falcons.